Welcome, everybody. I like your background, Jerry. You got the Aurora Borealis with the planets all lined up. You're all ready. And Miriam, is good to see you.
Good to see you.
We missed you last week because of Shavuot. We had a wonderful service for Shavuot. Brian?
You didn't miss me. I was there.
No, I didn't miss you at all, but we missed all of us because we weren't here.
Right.
And Baruch, you have a beautiful painting of your recent painting of your horse. Very proud of you. And tonight, what's the reading tonight, Baruch? Behalotecha. I know it's hard to pronounce.
Yeah.
But it's talking about how they ascended to light the lights. They had to light the light of menorah. There's a lot that this portion talks about. It's amazing. And I'm always amazed to see new things. So let's get to it.
They're called the Brava Matsaya, whatever, 112.
Yeah. Okay. Brian, if you're going to talk, put yourself on mute, okay? You're going to make noise or anything else that might disturb the class, okay? So we're beginning with Numbers, Book of Numbers, which is in Hebrew is Bamidbar, and we start with number 1. Yud He Vav He, the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to Aaron, and when you mount Behalotecha, the lamps, when you elevate, you go up to light the lights, let the 7 lamps give light at the front of the lampstand. Remember, we are like the light. We give light to the rest of the world, and it always needs to be facing in front of us. And Aaron did so. He mounted the lamps at the front of the lampstand as Yud He Vav He had commanded Moses. This is how the lampstand was made. It was hammered work of gold, hammered from base to pedal, according to the pattern that the Lord had shown Moses. So the lampstand was made. You see, not everything was written. Moses was when he was up on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights, God showed him many things from the next plane, from the heavenly realm. Jerry, would you like to read?
Where am I?
Here.
Hashem spoke to Moses, saying, take the Levites from among the Israelites and purify them. This is what you shall do to them to purify them. Sprinkle on them water of purification, and let them go over their whole body with a razor, and wash their clothes. Thus they shall be purified. Let them take a bull of the herd, and with it a meal offering of choice flour with oil mixed in, and you take a second bull of the herd for a sin offering. You shall bring the Levites forward from the tent of meeting, assemble the Israelite community leadership, and bring the Levites forward before Hashem. Let the Israelites lay their hands upon the Levites, and let Aaron designate the Levites before Yud He Vav He as an elevation offering from the Israelites, that they may perform the service of Yud He Vav He.
This was a service called smicha. They were being assigned their role. Like each of us is assigned a role. Aaron put his hands on them, and he was giving them the role that they would have to do.
It's interesting that we just read that you are to ascend or go up, or whatever, to light the lamps. And here you say you should go up to and what did you just read? It was like similar to the as a that they
An elevation.
Yeah, but it just seems like they're the priests and the service in the temple, which we all are, and to be a light to the world.
Yes, and that elevates us.
The Levites shall now lay their hands upon the heads of the bulls. One shall be offered to Yud He Vav He as a sin offering, and the other as a burnt offering, to make expiation for the Levites.
Expiation. It's like a covering. And the sin
Yes.
offering is like a purge, a cleansing offering.
Yes, you shall place the Levites in attendance upon Aaron and his sons, and designate them as an elevation offering to Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh. Thus you shall set the Levites apart from the Israelites, and the Levites shall be mine. Therefore, thereafter, the Levites shall be qualified for the service of the tent of meeting, once you have purified them and designated them as an elevation offering. For they are formally assigned to me from among the Israelites. I have taken them for myself in place of all the first issue of the womb, of all the male firstborn of the Israelites. For every male firstborn among the Israelites, human as well as beast, is mine. I consecrated to them to myself at the time that I smote every male firstborn in the land of Egypt.
So we've read this before, this idea. The firstborn male would always be the one, he's the first, he gets the first of the inheritance. He would always be in the place of honor at all the services, everything that every festival, it was the firstborn male who would attend all these things. Now, after there was a big shift with the golden calf, the sin of the golden calf, and instead of the firstborn of all Israel, it would be the firstborn of the Levites would represent the firstborn now. They would be the ones who would lead all these things. See, now I take the Levites instead of every male firstborn of the Israelites.
And from among the Israelites, I formally assign the Levites to Aaron and his sons to perform the service for the Israelites in the tent of meeting, and to make expiation for the Israelites, so that no plague may afflict the Israelites for coming too near the sanctuary. Moses, Aaron, and the Israelite community leadership did with the Levites accordingly, just as Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh had commanded Moses in regard to the Levites, so the Israelites did with them. The Levites purified themselves and washed their clothes, and Aaron designated them as an elevation offering before Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, and Aaron made expiation for them to purify them. Therefore,
Thereafter,
the Levites were qualified to perform their service in the tent of meeting under Aaron and his sons, as Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh had commanded Moses in regard to the Levites, so they did to them.
so we see that people are chosen, they're given a role. In this case, it was the Levites. Their role was to perform the service in the tent of meeting. And they were not given land, so that their attention was taken away by working the land or having to hire people. Their role was to be everything that had to be done for the festivals, for the offerings in the tent of meeting. And the rest of the Israelites would be responsible for taking care of them, for supplying everything that they needed.
Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh Hashem spoke to Moses, saying, "This is the rule for the Levites. From 25 years of age up, they shall participate in the workforce in the service of the tent of meeting. But at the age of 50, they shall retire from the workforce and shall serve no more. They may assist their brother Levites at the tent of meeting by standing guard, but they shall perform no labor. Thus you shall deal with the Levites in regard to their duties."
So it was a hard job that they had to do, week after week, offering after offering. And it was a much lesser age than the regular Israelite people. We read during the census that the army, people in the army would start from 20 and they would finish at 60. Here it's from 25 years and up to the age of 50. So they're really only working for 25 years, but then they would serve to train others. And the Lord spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai on Rosh Chodesh of the second year, the first new moon, following the exodus from the land of Egypt, saying, let the Israelite people offer the Passover sacrifice at its set time. You shall offer it on the 14th day of this month at twilight. At the set time, you shall offer it in accordance with all its rules and rites. Pesach is an extremely, extremely important holiday for us. It's a time of remembrance, and it's a time, the beginning of the year. It's a time when really the history of our people began. You want to continue, Jerry?
Moses instructed the Israelites to offer the Passover sacrifice. And they offered the Passover sacrifice in the first month, on the 14th day of the month, at twilight in the wilderness of Sinai, just as the Lord had commanded Moses, so the Israelites did. But there were some householders who were impure by reason of a corpse and could not offer the Passover sacrifice on that day. Appearing that same day before Moses and Aaron, those householders said to them, impure though we are by reason of a corpse, why must we be debarred from presenting the Lord's offering at its set time with the rest of the Israelites? Moses said to them, stand by and let me hear what instructions the Lord gives about you.
This to me is awesome, because here there's a problem that they're coming. They can't, we know that you can't go near a dead body and then come to the temple or celebrate a holiday, which would have been at the temple. So they asked Moses what to do. And Moses went immediately to ask God himself. I mean, this is something that we can do. We have that right to go to God and ask for his instructions about what to do. It may not come with an audible voice the way Moses did, because God spoke to Moses face to face, but certainly the answer is going to come from to us in one way or another, because I've seen this happen time and again.
And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the Israelite people, saying, when any party, whether you or your posterity, who is defiled by a corpse, or is on a long journey, would offer a Passover sacrifice to the Lord, they shall offer it in the second month, on the 14th day of the month at twilight. They shall eat it with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. And they shall not leave any of it over until morning. They shall not break a bone of it. They shall offer it in strict accord with the law of the Passover sacrifice. But if any party who is pure and not on a journey refrains from offering the Passover sacrifice, that person shall be cut off from kin, for the Lord's offering was not presented at its set time. That party shall bear the guilt.
This is important also, because people seem to think that they can do anything whenever they want. God made certain regulations for a reason, and Pesach was on a specific day. I remember years ago, when I was still in Christianity and then in Messianic Judaism, they would hold a Passover, but it didn't necessarily have to be a Passover on that day. Now I know, according to the Torah, that that's just wrong. If that person, it says, if it's not presented at its set time, that person shall bear the guilt. They shall be cut off from their family, from their kin. I mean, this is serious. We don't take it seriously. We don't think, God just said that. He didn't mean it. It was for then. It's not for now. We do that with so many things. And then we wonder why all these things happen to us. Now, this is important. Jerry, read this one.
And when a stranger who resides with you would offer a Passover sacrifice to the Lord, it must be offered in accordance with the rules and rites of the Passover sacrifice. There shall be one law for you, whether stranger or citizen of the country.
What is that saying to you, Jer?
That's what you always say, Peggy.
What is it saying to you?
It says it shall be one law for all.
Exactly. So if you look at here, it says chukat. A chukat, a chukah, I mean, is a regulation that doesn't have an explanation that may make sense to us, but something that God is telling us to do. Later on in Numbers 15, we're going to read one Torah for you and for the stranger living among you. Judaism doesn't see that, especially Orthodox Judaism. Christianity doesn't see that. Christianity says the Bible is not for us. It's for, the Torah is not for us, it's for the Jews. And the Jews say the Torah is for us, it's not for them. But it's not what the Torah says. And it's for the ger, the stranger living among us. We're not to make them into a Shabbos goy. They belong to us. They're part of us. And there was no conversions here at this time to Orthodox Judaism. You just had to be with us, follow our God, do the same things that we did, and you would be one with us. Does that make sense to you?
It's such a pivotal verse that I've always for years have been shocked. Why would people talk about it? It's just a simple thing. It's not a mystical principle. It's not something that says, requires deep contemplation because it seems mysterious. It's just the stating there should be one law. It's basically saying the human race is one. And because of what we've done and disobedience, etc., the world is a different place.
Exactly.
Even what you just said about the golden calf, had they not committed that whole balagan with the whole thing with the golden calf, then even this whole story would have been different.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, okay, Peggy, it's your turn.
On the day that the tabernacle or the Mishkan was set up, the cloud covered the tabernacle, the tent of the covenant, the pact that God made with us. In the evening, it rested over the covenant in the likeness of fire until morning. It was always so. The cloud covered it, and it appeared as fire by night. And whenever the cloud lifted from the tent, the Mishkan, the Israelites would set out. And at the spot where the cloud settled, there the Israelites would make camp. So we didn't have to worry where we were going or who was going to be with us. God had this cloud of fire by night to light the night for us. And by day, it was a cloud where we could see. And whenever it settled, that's where we would stay. Boy, if our road would be so easily mapped out today. At the command of the Lord, the Israelites broke camp. And at the command of the Lord, they made camp. And they remained encamped as long as the cloud stayed over the Mishkan. When the cloud lingered over the Mishkan many days, the Israelites observed the Lord's mandate and did not journey on. At such time as the cloud rested over the Mishkan for but a few days, they remained in camp at the command of the Lord and broke camp at the command of the Lord. At such times as the cloud stayed from evening until morning, they broke camp as soon as the cloud lifted in the morning. Day or night, whenever the cloud lifted, they would break camp. So it was obvious. They knew exactly what they had to do. Whether it was 2 days or a month or a year, however long the cloud lingered over the Mishkan, the Israelites remained encamped and did not set out. Only when it lifted did they have to break camp. On a sign from the Lord, they made camp, and on a sign from the Lord, they broke camp. They observed the Lord's mandate and at the Lord's bidding through Moses. Now, I want you to remember these verses because we're going to be reading something a little bit later that is going to make me refer back to this. So remember, they knew very clearly where they were going, when they were going to go. That clear sign from God. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Have 2 silver trumpets made. Make them of hammered work. They shall serve you to summon the military bodies of the community to set the divisions in motion." So here we have these 2 silver trumpets, and they were going to like blowing the reveille. And when both are blown in long blasts, the whole company of soldiers, of fighters, shall assemble before you at the entrance of the Mishkan. If only one is blown, the chief heads of Israel's contingent shall assemble. When you sound short blasts, the divisions encamped on the east shall move forward. See, everything had an order. They knew exactly what they had to do. And when you sound short blasts a second time, those encamped on the south shall move forward. So short blasts shall be blown for setting them in motion. While to convoke or the military bodies of the congregation, you shall blow long blasts, not short ones. The trumpet shall be blown by Aaron's sons, the priests. They shall be for you an institution for all time throughout the ages. Listen to this. When you are at war in your land against an aggressor who attacks you, you shall sound short blasts on the trumpets, that you may be remembered before your God and be delivered from your enemies. Now imagine if today the army of the Lord, the army of Israel, the IDF, had these, because we just had an aggressor and we still have aggressors every single day attacking us. If we blast those short blasts on the trumpet, we will be remembered before our God and delivered from our enemies. It's what he's saying here. So obvious to me. And on your joyous occasions, the Rosh Hashanah, the Yom Teruah, the festivals, the moon days, Rosh Chodesh, you shall sound the trumpets over your burnt offerings and your sacrifices of well-being. They shall be a reminder of you before your God. I am your God. He's always telling us, if you do what I'm asking you to do, I will never forget you. I will always remember you. In the second year, on the 20th day of the second month, the cloud lifted from the Mishkan of the pact, the Edut. And the Israelites set out on their journey from the wilderness of Sinai. The cloud came to rest in the wilderness of Paran. So that's when they had to stop. When the march was to begin, at the Lord's command through Moses, the first standard to set out troop by troop was a division of Judah. In command of its troop was Nachshon, the son of Aminadab, command of the tribal troop of Issachar, Netanel, the son of Zuar, and in the camp of the tribal troop of Zebulun, Eliav, son of Elon. Then the tent, the tabernacle, the Mishkan would be taken apart, and Gershon and Merari, who carried the tabernacle, would set out. The next standard to set out, troop by troop, was Reuben. In command of this was Elitzur, the son of Shedeor. Command of the troop of Simeon, Shlumiel, the son of Tzurishaddai. In the command of the tribal troop of Gad, Eliasaph, son of Deuel. Then the Kohathites, who carried the sacred objects. They all had their jobs, what they had to do and when they would have to move it. They would set out, and by the time they arrived, the tabernacle would be set up so that they could set down the sacred objects. See, everything had to be done in order. The next standard to set out troop by troop was the division of Ephraim. In command of its troop was Elishama, son of Amihud. In the command of the tribal troop of Manasseh, Gamaliel, son of Pedatsur. In the command of Benjamin, Abidan of Gideoni. In the rear of all the divisions, the standard of the division of Dan would set out. In command of its troop was Achieser, son of Ammishaddai. Command of the troop of Asher, Pagiel, son of Ochran. And then the tribal troop of Naphtali, Ahiru, son of Enan. Such was the order of march of the Israelites as they marched troop by troop. Remember, there were thousands and thousands of men, so they had to have order. If you have no order, there's chaos and nothing will run well. Now, listen to this. I want you to remember what I told you to remember before. Excuse me, just let me take a little drink. Moses said to Chovav, son of Reuel the Midianite, Moses' father-in-law, we are setting out for the place of which the Lord has come. So Moses is saying to the son of his father-in-law, we're setting out for the place of which the Lord has said, I will give it to you. Come with us. We will be generous with you, for the Lord has promised to be generous to Israel. I will not go, he replied to him, but I want to return to my native land. But Moses said, please do not leave us, since you know where we should camp in the wilderness and can be our guide. So if you come with us, we will extend to you the same bounty that the Lord grants us. Now, what is this saying to you? Moses is saying to him,
Universal God.
no, listen. Moses is saying to him, please, don't leave us, because you know where we should camp in the wilderness, and you can be our guide. What did we just read? We just read that
Oh, yes.
cloud by day, a
Yes,
cloud by
yeah.
night, a fire. God was showing us where we'd have to go.
Yeah, okay. Yes.
And here Moses, who was the Moses who spoke face to face with God, is telling this man to come with us. And he had just heard God. He just
You
had
know what?
seen-
I never noticed that before.
Me neither. Isn't it marvelous? Isn't it hope for us as ordinary, simple
For us,
people?
because it's so typical and so ordinary, but I don't even remember any reprimand. Like that God said, why didn't you listen? I told you that I'm going to lead you. Like here, it's so casual. Like it's like they just forgot.
Yeah, I know. But it just shows us that we think, oh, this Moses is so holy and so pure and he didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, well, you see all the things Moses did. This is one of them. If he
But
could do
here
that.
it says, okay.
What?
Okay. Well, it continues to just say about how the cloud kept above them by day.
Yeah, God was leading them. Imagine if he could think like that, how much less we. He spoke to God
But
face
how
to
come?
face.
Could this mean something a little more specific, more different? That you know we still are responsible for our actions. Could it be? Could it mean on their daily walk, like with dealing with the landscape in the desert? Maybe they knew more. Because look, it just continues as if nothing happened.
Exactly. Isn't that amazing? It's
No,
so
but
easy to pass
I'm
over
wondering if you know God, because God told us that He would be with us and lead us, tell us when to leave and when to camp. But there's so many things that happen in between that. Maybe that's what this is talking about. You
I
know,
don't know what you mean, Miriam. I don't know what you're saying.
well, they said, you know, come with us because we're not sure how to navigate the wilderness, basically.
Yeah, but God was the one navigating the wilderness. Who better than him?
I agree, but
Than the son of a Midianite.
nothing mentioned about that. Nothing said about it.
I just said something about it.
No, I know, but it's not like God says, why don't you listen to me? Because he just continues with the cloud. And,
Yeah.
and
I
maybe
guess
this is telling them how to chop wood, if there is any, how to light a fire.
it's not what it says. I'm just
Okay.
taking it at face value. I'm just saying, well, if Moses can do that, who are we to think we could do more than him? I mean, it makes me feel good.
Well, here it says, so if you come with us, we will extend to you the same bounty that God grants us.
Yeah. It's almost like he's bribing him. Come, you'll be blessed along with us.
Well, to me, it's saying, you know, you're not part of us, but you are, like, you're part of us. You're not an Israelite, but you're part of us. If you want to be. That's what I thought this was saying.
Well, that is what it's saying, but it's saying a lot more than that to me.
Okay.
Jerry, what do you think?
I'm listening now. I'm listening.
Yeah. Because please do not leave us, since you know where we should camp in the wilderness and can be our guide. But we had just read 3 or 4, 5 verses about how God would lead them. When he lifted up above the tent, they would know where to go. They would know how long they had to stay. It just shows the humanity of Moses.
I guess so.
We're not
And
to make
also-
him into a god.
Yeah.
They marched from the mountain of the Lord a distance of 3 days. The Ark of the Covenant of the Lord traveled in front of them on that 3 days' journey to seek out a resting place for them. And the Lord's cloud kept above them by day as they moved on from camp. This we read every Shabbat. When the ark was set out, Moses would say, "Arise, O Lord, and let your enemies be scattered, and may your foes flee from before you." Remember this? We sing this on every Kuma Adonai ve'afutzu oivecha ve'anusu misanecha mipanecha. Yeah, that's from here. Yeah, it's beautiful. And when it halted, he would say, "Return, O Lord, you who are Israel's myriads of thousands." And next we have come on a whole other topic, a whole other subject. Kvetching. The people started kvetching bitterly, complaining before the Lord. He heard and was incensed. When we complain, when we don't give thanks for everything we have, and then something happens to us, let's not blame God. The fire of the Lord broke out against them, ravaging the outskirts of the camp. Can you just imagine? Look at all the fires going on in the world right now. People cried out to Moses, and Moses prayed to the Lord, and the fire died down. The name of the place was Tavera, because of a fire of the Lord had broken out against them. Now here the word, here in English they translate it as riffraff, but here in Hebrew it's hasafsuf. The hasafsuf were the rabble rousers, those the Antifa, the people who were causing problems. And the riffraff in their midst felt a gluttonous craving. Then, after they started complaining, they aroused all the Israelites to weep and say, "If only we had meat to eat." Now, let me ask you a question. What did they leave Egypt with? Did they have meat? They had cattle, sheep, goats. They had plenty
If
of
you
meat.
translate meat, it translates into dark chocolate.
Exactly. They wanted chocolate. We remember the fish that we used to eat in Egypt, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, the garlics. Oh, poor things. Now our gullets are shriveled. Oh, we're dying of hunger. There's nothing at all. Nothing but this manna to look at. Imagine, God gave them manna in the wilderness, and look what they're saying. Now the manna was like coriander seed, and in color it was like bdellium. The people would go and gather it, grind it between millstones, and pound it in a mortar, boil it in a pot, and make it into cakes. It tasted like rich cream, or whatever it tasted like. And when the dew fell on the camp at night, the man would fall upon it. Moses heard the people weeping, every clan apart at the entrance of each tent. Imagine. The Lord was very angry, and Moses was distressed. And Moses said to the Lord, "Why have you dealt ill with your servant? And why have I not enjoyed your favor, that you have laid the burden of this people upon me? What did you do to me, God? You gave me this people. Did I produce these people? Did I give birth to them that you should say to me, carry them in your bosom as a caregiver carries an infant to the land that you have promised on oath to their fathers? Where am I to get meat to give to all these
It
people,
says to their fathers, not to our fathers.
to their fathers? Yeah, well, I take it as mine.
No, but I'm saying it's like he's no longer saying to all of us. It's this the riffraff.
Right. No, not to the riffraff. It was to all of them because they were all complaining.
No, but what? But he doesn't include himself in there. I know he wasn't complaining, but it's sort of anyway. Like he's saying he's keeping his distance.
Right. But he himself is still complaining. And he
Yeah.
himself is saying, where am I going to get meat to give to all these people when they whine before me saying, give me meat, give us meat. Yeah, there was meat. I can't carry all these people by myself. It's too much for me. What would make Moses think that he had to carry the people by themselves? He was never asked to carry them alone. Again, where's Moses? If you would deal thus with me, kill me. Kill me rather, I beg you, and let me see no more of my wretchedness. This is like total drama, a drama king. Moses, I love you. Then God said to Moses, gather for me. Doesn't give him heck because he knows. He's so merciful, God. Gather for me 70 of Israel's elders, whom you have experienced as elders and officers of the people. Bring them to the Mishkan and let them take their place there with you. I will come down and speak with you there, and I will draw. Now, this is interesting. I will draw upon the spirit that is on you and put it on them. And they will share the burden of the people with you. You shall not have to bear it alone. Now, you think we could take this literally? That he literally went in and took some of his spirit and put it in on the 70 elders? Or do you think it could have another meaning? Because I did a lot of thinking about this, which I'll talk about on Saturday. You're going to have to listen.
Well, yeah, it's true. I don't think it's literal. I think it's kind of I mean, I'm just talking now right this second. I'm not really thinking deeply that a lot of things that have to do with wisdom, people sharing wisdom and some people receiving it or whatnot, it is like we're putting part of our spirit or somebody else's spirit into us. Like I think it's things that we just can't understand fully.
Good. That's a good
Because we
thought.
do that in all our lives, I think. When
Yeah.
somebody wise parts talks about their experiences, whatever, and you glean wisdom from them.
True, very true. But you're going to have to listen on Saturday. I'm not giving it away to you now. And say to the people, purify yourself for tomorrow, and you shall eat meat. For you have kept fetching before God and saying, if only we had meat to eat, and we were better off in Egypt. The Lord will give you meat, and you will eat. Moses is saying this to them. You're going to eat. You're not going to eat just one day, not 2 days, not even 5 or 10 or 20, but a whole month until it comes out of your nose and becomes disgusting to you. For you have rejected the Lord who is among you, because you've whined and fetched before God, saying, why did we ever leave Egypt? But Moses says, the people who are with me number 600,000 foot soldiers, and yet you say, I will give them enough meat to eat for a whole month? Could enough flocks and herds be slaughtered to suffice them? Could all the fish of the sea be gathered for them to suffice them? And the Lord said to Moses, is there a limit to the Lord's power? You shall see whether what I have said happens to you or not. One of the things that I've noticed in all my search through all the different ideologies and religions is they all made promises. And the longer I stayed there, the emptier I found that the promises were. But here in the Torah, When God says he's going to do something, you can be guaranteed 100% that he's going to do it. And if we read all these stories, we will watch how he does it. That's how we know that we can trust him. Moses went out and reported the words of the Lord to the people. He gathered 70 of the people's elders and stationed them around the tent. Then, after coming down in a cloud and speaking to him, the Lord drew upon the spirit that was on him and put it on the 70 participating elders. But when the spirit rested upon them, they spoke in, it's here, it says ecstasy, but it was prophetic utterances, but did not continue. Two of the participants, one named Eldad and the other Medad, had remained in the camp. Yet the Spirit rested upon them. They were among those recorded, but they had not gone out to the Mishkan. And they also spoke in prophecy in the camp. An assistant ran out and told Moses, saying, Eldad and Medad are acting the prophet in the camp. And Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses' attendant from his youth, spoke up and said, My Lord Moses, stop them, restrain them. But Moses said to him, Are you wroth? Are you upset on my account? I wish that all of God's people were prophets, that God put his divine spirit upon them. Wouldn't that be wonderful? On all our people. Moses then re-entered the camp together with the elders of Israel, and a wind from the Lord started up. It swept quail from the sea and strewed them over the camp, about a day's journey on this side and about a day's journey on that side, all around the camp, some 2 cubits deep on the ground. The people set to gathering quail all that day and all that night and all the next day. Even the one who gathered the least had 10 homers, which is probably a lot, and they spread them out all around the camp. The meat was still between their teeth, not yet chewed, when the anger of the Lord blazed forth against the people and struck the people with a very severe plague. The place was named Kibrot Hata'ava because the people who had a craving were buried there. Then the people set out from Kibrot Hata'ava for Hatzerot. When they were in Hatzerot, Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of the Cushi, the woman from Ethiopia, who he had taken into his household as his wife. He has taken a Cushite woman. They said, Has the Lord spoken only through Moses? Hasn't God spoken through us as well? And the Lord heard it. Now Moses was very humble, more so than any other human being on earth. Suddenly, the Lord called to Moses, Aaron, and Miriam, Come out, you 3, to the tent of meeting. So the 3 of them went out. The Lord came down in a pillar of cloud, stopped at the entrance of the tent, and called out, Aaron and Miriam. The 2 of them came forward, and God said, Hear my words. When the prophets of the Lord arise among you, I make myself known to them in a vision. I speak to them in a dream. But not so with my servant Moses. He is trusted throughout my household. With him I speak mouth to mouth, plainly, and not in riddles. And he beholds the likeness of the Lord. How then did you not shrink from speaking against my servant Moses? This whole idea is so powerful of speaking against, bearing false witness, speaking behind the back. It's the number 9th commandment. Still incensed with them, the Lord departed. And as the cloud withdrew from the tent, there was Miriam, stricken with snow-white scales. When Aaron turned to Miriam, he saw that she was stricken with scales. Here, Mitzorah, it's the same root, is Tza'arat. Aaron said to Moses, "O my Lord, account not to us the sin which we have committed in our folly. Let her not be like a stillbirth, which emerges from its mother's womb with half its flesh eaten away." And Moses cried out to the Lord, saying, Elna refanala. O God, please heal her. But the Lord said to Moses, if your father spat in her face, would she not bear her shame for 7 days? Let her be shut out of the camp for 7 days, and then let her be readmitted. So Miriam was shut out of the camp 7 days, and the people did not march on until Miriam was readmitted. After that, the people set out from Hatzirot and encamped in the wilderness of Paran.
How come Aaron wasn't whatever? Maybe he was. Did you say he was punished later another time?
Well, yeah, he was punished when his 2 first sons were killed. He also, God was instituting the system of the priesthood, and he would have a lot to do, and he would have a lot of time to make atonement, to be held into account for what he had done. So that, according to our rabbi and to other sages, is why he wasn't punished in the same way as Miriam. Miriam, you want to turn on your camera? Miriam? There you go. Okay. So there was a lot to this. We have a lot of ways of seeing it, a lot of ways of interpreting it. But we see how pride, humility, complaining, fetching, so many things play a part in our walk with God. Our disobedience, the things that we suffer because of our disobedience, and we're constantly blaming God. We blame him for everything. Where was he in the Holocaust? Where was he on October 7th? And we have to keep asking ourselves, where are we? Where were we?
It's
Anything
funny.
more? Yeah.
We say all these things. Where was he here? Where was he there? And as you're just saying now, when it comes to the presence of God in our own walk, we can call ourselves whatever we want, but why all of a sudden is there an acknowledgement, whether it's negative or not, an acknowledgement of God when things go wrong? Where was he? You don't think of God for 1 second all your life, and then where was he? I guess it's a kind of sarcastic thing. It's like, how could anyone speak of a God when these things happen? But it's
Well, the question has to be, where are we?
yeah.
Yeah. Jerry wants to dance.
Jerry wants what?
Jerry wants to dance. Well, we do. We dance in Israel. We dance when we're sad. We dance when we're happy. And so, Jerry, do you want to end with the Aaronic benediction?
The Aaronic benediction that the Lord commanded the Kohanim to say. And it said, O God and God of our fathers, bless us with the threefold blessings written in the Torah by thy servant Moses and spoken by Aaron and his sons the priests. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'kdushasoi shel Aaron v'tzivon levarech es amo Yisrael be'ahavo. Yevorechecho Adonai וישמרךו יאר אדוני פניו אליכו ויחונקו יישא אדוני פניו אליכו וישם לכו שלום. ושמו את שמי על בני ישראל, ואני אעבורכם.
May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord shine his face upon you and be gracious to you, and may the Lord lift his countenance upon you and give you shalom. So shall they put my name upon them and the children of Israel, and I will bless them. And we think of the families and say Kaddish, recite Kaddish for the 12 soldiers who were killed last after I don't know if it was on Shabbat or on Sunday, and the 2 tanks in going into in the Middle East recently. I think they were going to Rafah, and I'll be speaking about that as well on Shabbat. But it's very, very, very sad what's happening, and we just have to keep praying that God would open the eyes of our people, and that they would see him the way we saw him in the cloud by day and the fire by night, and we would learn to trust him in all things, and so that he would come and he would remember us and he would protect us. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here with us tonight. I've decided to, even though I feel a little guilty about it, to take the summer off. I guess we'll resume in September. If I get especially moved in some way by one of the readings that I'm reading and make a small video, I'll send it out to you. But in the meantime, we'll take a break for the summer for this Torah is for everyone. But it really is, as we read in the portion this week, it is for everyone. And may we do as we said we would do at Mount Sinai. We will listen and we will obey. And with that,
Not fuzzy. What you just started to say on my end is very muffled. I don't know.
we will do,
Just me?
we will do, and we will obey. That's what.
Aye,
Sorry, what did you say, Brian?
aye, Captain.
Aye, Capitan.
Brian?
We have to say that to the Lord of Hosts. All right, everybody. We'll see you soon. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Take care of
Thank
yourself,
you.
and we'll see you, God willing, in September. I'll send you out a reminder.
In September.
See you in September.
See you in September. Enjoy the summer. Enjoy the beach if you're going to the beach. Stay safe and be good. Bye.